I'm in love with the Topping A90D. Hey, welcome back to the Thrift Shop. Appreciate stopping back, watching another video. The Topping A90D was provided to me by APOS. All thoughts and opinions are mine. I just want to bring you some love through the Topping A90D. Yeah, don't be fooled. Don't let these take the star of the show. These are the Starry Night V2 planar magnetic headphones, which are amazing. Stabilized, burl, beautiful. But this review will be coming up. But yes, I needed to test the headphone amplifier with this headphone, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So let's put these off to the side. The star of the show, Topping A90D. So I have to admit, right off the get-go, I am not a huge Topping fan. There are a lot of Topping fans. I just, some of the products I heard initially, I'm going to say that initially, were a little bit thin, bright. While that can be very analytical, it just wasn't, there was no romance to it, and it just wasn't my flavor. As soon as I turned this thing on, I knew that I was in love with this headphone amplifier. And we need to get into that. So let's get into some of the features, specs. I'm going to pop the specs up here because there's a lot of things to talk about. So first of all, you'll see that with Topping products, they're going to promote a very low noise, THD plus N. And the caveat is you got to look up on the graphs, the charts, that to hit those specified requirements, the output power is a lot lower than the actual capability of the amplifier. So you have to scroll all the way down into the graph, and you'll see that when you look at the output power at THD plus N at 0.1, which is common industry standard, you'll see that you get a lot more power. So, but the good news is, even though it's rated and yeah, you got all these specs and there are a lot of people doing measurements, this thing is squeaky clean. So I drove it all the way to the limit and did not have a problem with it. I paired this with my Topping, or my Shit by Frost 264 and the Denafrips Aries 2, and compared it against my HiFi Pro iCan here, which is a little bit crooked. Oh well, OCD coming out, but it fits nicely on top of the Shit by Frost, by the way, too. So it's almost a perfect fit. It's like both of them are warming each other up. Quite nice. So yeah, let's get into this. So you have looking at the front of this. So you have preamp output, so you can use this as preamp headphone output. You can tell the power's on and off. You have RCA input, XLR. I have it on XLR right now. And yeah, so love the display. This dot matrix kind of look is absolutely stunning. Minimalist design. You have XLR output. You have 4.4 pentagon and single-ended, and a multi-use volume knob. And actually, it does come with the remote. I'll pop up the remote kind of image up here, and you can take a look at that. But I have not had to use it. You know, it's 3 feet away from me. I haven't needed to use it. The only function that you cannot control from the multi-use function button is to dim or brighten the display. And I haven't had to. It doesn't bother me where it's at, so I haven't had to touch that. So yeah, so let's look at this volume out here. Relay to relay volume, which is absolutely cool. All right, so let's do a rear unit tour. Yeah, so let's take a look at the rear of this beauty. So up top here, this is a firmware upgrade. So you plug your USB-C in there. You can get the expansion module, which would give you additional XLR and single-ended inputs. Pretty expensive, though I have considered that as making a whole system preamp. Your power on off here. You do get a ground lift here. So if you do get a ground hum here, you lift it. I ran it on lifted the whole time, and I did switch back and forth, did not notice a difference here. But pretty cool little technology to put in here. As you can see, the inputs, XLR and single-ended, still have the covered up output, and I did not use this as a preamp, only as headphone amp. So yeah, and you do get a 12-volt trigger here. So that is the unit here. All right. There's been a lot of videos out there. We don't need to talk a lot about the specs of this thing, whether it's putting out 9.8 watts, 7 watts, 5 watts, 4 watts. It's been measured, so I'm not going to say if it is actually the power that it's rated to. I'm going to talk via the headphones I listen to. Starting off with the legendary HiFi Man He6se. These monsters take a lot of power. And I got to say that, let's go to the setting that I had these on. Yeah, I could max this thing out, but it was plenty loud enough. You know, I was in the 90s to really get this thing going. Again, that's all up to your desired listening level. You know, I like rock, I like metal, so yeah, it's going to get going a little bit. But yeah, you really need that much power to get the bass kind of going with these and slamming. Otherwise, yeah, you can get technically sound out of these at a lower power, but it just doesn't give you the experience that these headphones can deliver. So for all of you that say you need 2 watts to run this, I highly doubt it. And to get it to really what you really need the headroom and the peak amperage when these things need it to deliver the current to get this thing going. But you know, I've listened to rock. I've been in love with Bad Omens lately, and this thing, just the vocals, everything, the way these things come through is absolutely great. So no problems driving this. So do you need a headphone amplifier? No, just get yourself the Topping A90D. You can drive the He6se. Next, I was using the FiiO FT3 350 ohm dynamic driver headphone with this amplifier, and yeah, I absolutely love this combination. Although, you know, these can be a little sterile, a little bright, and mixing it with a Ship Bifrost and the topping can be a little bit too much treble energy. So I recommend, if with a specific headphone, that you do use the Denafrip Series 2, a little more relaxed, because the topping is squeaky clean. It is going to give you whatever your DAC is. If you want to know the differences between your DAC, the Topping A90D is great. Oh, I forgot to mention, the headphone amplifier is on sale at APOS for normally $5.99. It's been on sale for $4.99 recently. I'm currently on the website right now. It shows me still $5.99, even though before you click on it, it's $4.99. I'm not sure. I'll have a link down below. Please, it helps out the channel. If you're ever thinking about a product there, just click the little affiliate link. Help me out. You know, give me a couple bucks. But yeah. So yeah, I don't recommend the Ship Bifrost 264 with the topping for a bright headphone. This headphone, it can be piercing. But yeah, stick with a more relaxed DAC, and the topping will do you well. These are quite easy to drive, actually, on the Topping A90D. Actually, it's great. Next, I wanted to test kind of low impedance of this given the noise. So we got to get the Varum audio out, and these are 8 ohms. I can't remember the sensitivity on them, but they're not the easiest thing to drive. The low impedance, the sensitivity of these. But you know, I was probably, I believe, I was just listening this morning, I was kind of around, you know, the 50 mark of this, so 50% of its output power to drive these. You know, depending on the DAC that you're using, both of these are, you know, multi-bit R2R. You get great layering and separation that comes through. So it's a combination of your DAC, your headphone amp, and your headphones, and very expansive sound that comes from this. The ability to resolve minute details can come through dramatically with the right pairing. And I love the Topping A90D, Bifrost 264, and the Varum Audio Mark II, I believe, of these. Yeah, lovely headphone. These are ones that I will never consider selling. Some come and go, these stay. But this is not about the headphone. This is about the headphone amplifier, and you know, the absolutely beautiful match. Cannot recommend it enough. So you need to try to get yourself this kind of combination here, and you will not have a thought of buying anything else. So 8 ohms, no noise floor. You can hear it. You know, the only noise you're going to hear is a noise that's already recorded in your music, and you'll hear that. You're not going to get it from this headphone amplifier. Lastly, Cadenza. Interesting here, so not much to look at. It's better to show the box than the actual. I have a review of this coming up. Absolutely great. I think these are like 30 bucks, 34 bucks, something like that. Highly recommend. Again, the review's coming up, so I don't want to give away too much, but you know, what I found interesting with this headphone amplifier, all my listening was doing on the XLR balanced, that when I went to the single-ended output using a connector, I was still in like the 50% range. You know, I went all the way down. You know, I started, I'm like, I don't want to blow my ears or blow up I started hearing, I could barely hear anything. And I don't know, it doesn't show in the specs that it has an impedance match on single-ended, because I did also drive the Varum Audio off single-ended. Actually, I did both, but it seems like it's almost matching the impedance, very similar to what the HiFi Pro ICANN does. So when you plug that in, it senses the impedance and adjusts. That way you get a really low noise floor, no sound, no matter what you plug in. Kind of similar. It doesn't say that it does it, but you know, I had to give it a lot of juice just to get up. I mean, this is a 32 ohm IEM, and yeah, 32, 110 dB. So this is really easy to drive. And looking at the specs of the amplifier, I mean, this thing should be like down at like, you know, you should be in the teens essentially. So I'm not sure why that is, why running an IEM you have to turn this up so much for this rated power. And I am, because the specs are based off of XLR, I am running a balanced XLR in from the ship Bifrost 264. So yeah, I'm not sure, but the sound was amazing. Again, layers, textures, everything came through that you would expect from a high-end amplifier. You know, the HiFi Pro ICANN is a $2,000 amplifier. Yes, they have the new signature. Maybe it's even more now, you know, but this is a very high-end amplifier. It does everything I need. It's Swiss Army knife. It's kind of a shame because at $599 or $499, you're basically getting all of that except for a little bit less power, and you're not getting the tube function, which quite honestly doesn't work that well with headphones, only as a preamp. So functionally, you know, for $499, I think this is the deal of the century, quite honestly. I really don't want to send this back to Topping. I'm going to try to keep this around for a few more reviews, or send it back to APOS, I'm sorry. I could just sit here and play with the dial. If you got knob feel, this is it. And I love how if you speed it up, it jumps. So it's not just the linear, you know, going through the functions here. You can go into low, high, powered off, powered on. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. You can switch between your XLR, headphone. Yeah, so it, you know, I gotta say that I might be buying this just to have, just so good. But I probably will send this back because it does come in silver, and you know, that'd be a better match. But yeah, this thing's absolutely gorgeous. Hey, thanks for the thrift shop. We'll see you. Take care and have a happy 4th of July.